everybody. Welcome back to Positive Impact TV. Today, we have a very special episode. We are featuring a presentation skill expert, David. He is going to tell you how to pronounce his last name because I definitely don't want to attempt that. And for those of you who don't know me, I am a show host and a visibility coach for coaches. And you can find me on positiveimpact.tv pretty much on every platform. And what we do is we help people of impact shine. We bring them in front of more people so that more of you can get to know David, what he does, and how he can help you grow your business, grow your audience, and engage your audience. So David, off to you. Please introduce yourself. Let us know who you are. How do you pronounce your last name? And who do you help?
Well, thank you, Jules. I am so happy to be here. This is such a pleasure. I have been following you for quite some time. The proper pronunciation of my last name, it's German. Doerrier is the proper pronunciation. And what do I do and who do I do it to? I am, as you said, a presentation skills expert. I've been in the business of training development for 30 years, designing training, instructional design, and eventually with training trainers to train or training managers to be better facilitators or to run meetings better. So today I have my own business, presentyourwaytosuccess.com. And the types of people that are attracted to me are business owners, trainers, facilitators, salespeople, all types of subject matter experts that are all looking for the same thing. They all want to either craft a presentation or recraft an existing presentation because they all want to do a better job of engaging their audience. The more they're able to engage their audience, the higher the likelihood of that audience or members of that audience taking a next step or buying their product or taking advantage of their service.
Thank you for all that. Thank you for bringing up engaging the audience, because I have sat through many, many boring trainings, many sales presentations that were not just boring, but also irritating the heck out of me. So I think there is definitely something to be said about being effective, not just being on stage, not just being on as many stages as you can be on, as is a popular belief, but also doing it with the right strategy, with the right approach, with the right set of skills. So is there a difference between how, let's say, a corporate leader would use presentation skills and how, let's say, an entrepreneur would use them?
Oh, that's a great question. I've never been asked that question. So is there a difference between how a leader would address their employees or their staff and how an entrepreneur would address maybe an audience at a networking event or maybe addressing a prospect of some sort? I think at the foundation that there are certain skills at the foundation of all speakers. Number one would be you need to know who your audience is. As, for example, a business owner who's speaking at a networking event. I've seen it a number of times. You mentioned hearing some boring or presentations that weren't engaging. I would contribute that to possibly not knowing your audience. I've seen it in networking events where the gentleman who is the architect, who's part of the networking group, is now talking to a group of business owners, but he's talking to us as if we are all architects. So there's an example of someone who's not in tune of who their audience is. The same thing with a leader. Now the leader is going to have a better idea of who their audience is because these are people that are within the organization. However, sometimes the leader is going to have knowledge of different projects and different things that we as the worker bees may not know. So using acronyms, using examples that we're not familiar with would be an example of not knowing the audience. So I think that there are many similarities. However, certainly, yes, knowing your audience and yes, let me leave it at that. So I find myself talking to myself in the corner. So yes, know your audience.
That is definitely a foundational principle in any outward communication, whatever way you're using, right? And in sales, especially, and if you are in business or in a leadership position where you're trying to make an impact, a change, implement a change, definitely expecting some sort of a transformation with what you're presenting, then obviously there is a goal to be remembered, and who you're addressing it to. And I guess in the world of business, we sometimes refer to that as, your messaging. Maybe if it's in a written form, we mention it as copy. So would the same principles, I'm just putting you on the spot here, would the same principles as apply in speaking from stage apply in speaking in social media content or in writing? Would there be the same engagement principles, or are these specific to speaking, audibly from stage, visually in person? Like, what, before we get into the principles themselves, what scenarios do they apply to?
So the question being the principle of knowing your audience, would it be the same as if you're speaking from the stage or speaking virtually?
That principle and the principles we're going to get into, like the tips you're going to give me.
So would it be the same as in writing as well? I think so. Someone gave me some advice just recently about how I could change my writing style and I think that this would be applied to many others, is to look at, for example, I post a lot on LinkedIn about presentation skills, but in the past I was posting about solutions. I wasn't really raising the problem first and talking. I went straight into solutions. And the advice was to talk about, well, what is it that I discovered? Why is this solution important to me? How did this solution affect me and my business or my presentation style? So I think that is resonating more with my audience, that I have had this problem. I needed to find, and I needed a solution, and I found this solution, and it gave me this reward. So that's how I'm approaching my social media. I hope that is addressing your question.
I love that. I think definitely for anybody who is listening and again, for anybody who's listening either live or watching a replay, you guys are more than welcome to put questions in the comments below. Tag David, go find him. By the way, I didn't even mention, he is a community expert in the Positive Impact Circle. You can join the community and find him there in the guides section under the experts. From positiveimpact.tv, there's a link there to join our community. So back to the question. So obviously we need to know the audience. We need to pique their interest by stimulating their thinking about a problem, then maybe share a little bit of our experience as to how we've discovered the solution, and only then talk about the solution. So I'm going to open the stage for you, David. Give us some top tips, whatever number comes to mind, that you would want our audience to know today that will help them in their presentation skills.
That's great. Well, I've given one. Yeah, I have had the opportunity to evaluate a lot of people, trainers, business owners, many of them at networking events, and then I will give them feedback on their presentation at the networking event. And it always comes up with three things. My top three things that all speakers, all business owners must keep in mind. I mentioned the first one already, and that is know your audience. No matter who you're speaking to, whether you're mentoring one person, know that audience, understand how what is that person's listening style, because everybody is different. Many new trainers learn this the hard way, that what do you mean everybody in this classroom isn't like me? What do you mean we all learn differently? That came as such a surprise, and that everybody in that audience is different. Know your audience. What is their listening style? What is their learning style? What is their buying style if you're a salesperson? Number one, know your audience. Number two is to incorporate stories. We all like to hear relevant stories, and keep them short. You don't have to go into a lot of detail. There are three parts to every story. What was the problem that the person that you're coaching, or the person that that you're working with, what problem were they facing? What solution did you provide to them? And number three, the third part of that story is, what was the outcome after they applied that solution? So know your audience, Incorporate stories, keeping them short. You don't have to go into a lot of detail. Last week I was working with Dave. No, wait a minute. It wasn't Dave. It was, no, it was Jules. That's right. Wait a minute. No. It wasn't last week. It was 3 weeks ago. We don't care about all that stuff. We're not a politician. You're not going to be fact checked. So no, incorporate short stories. And the third piece is to have a compelling conclusion. I can't tell you how many times I've listened to speakers, and Jules, you were talking earlier about people that were putting you to sleep. I would guess that many of them didn't even have a conclusion of some sort. They just get to the end and then just, okay, that's it. So your conclusion can be as simply as, here are the 3 things that we talked about. We talked about the importance of knowing your audience. We also looked at incorporating stories, and said that there were 3 parts: problem, solution, and outcome. And finally, having a compelling conclusion. And then you can incorporate as well a call to action or a freebie or a book or something like that. That's part of that. So those are the top 3 right there.
Thank you so much. I love that. Definitely summarizing what people talked about, that kind of deposits it into a bit more of their long-term memory than just a short-term memory, right? And again, reminds them, and it kind of connects the dots, creates those neural connections to remember. And I love that you brought up call to action. You definitely need to give people the most natural next step, whatever it is, depending on the goal, depending on the audience. If it's in the corporate environment, it could be do your homework. It could be attend the next event. It could be, do a review of this training. Sometimes that's what it's asked, but give them something to do while you're there, right? And in the business setting, definitely a call to action, some sort of a way to bring that person, the anonymous person from the audience, into your ecosystem where you can actually develop a closer relationship with them, right? Mm-hmm. So what is working with you like? Like, if somebody were to come to you and say, okay, yeah, I know I need to work on my presentation skills, what can you offer them?
Well, great question. Well, first of all, I customize all of my coaching, whether it's one-on-one, one-on-few, one-on-many. I customize the coaching, the training for the needs of the person or of the group. I work with 2 types of people. I work with trainers who already have their curriculum, but in many cases, they may not have had their training on the foundational skills of how to engage an audience. Many trainers feel, or many even subject matter experts feel, that because they know their material, they know the information, that automatically makes them a great trainer or a great speaker. So to get to your question of what do I do, working with me, what is that like? Well, first, I want to understand what your goals are. I want to customize my training for you. I have at the foundation, well, let me say this. My goal is to, depending on what your needs are, is to help you build a strong speaker's foundation. Just like a house, if a house has a weak foundation, the house is going to fall down. So if you have a weak speaker's foundation, your presentation is going to fall apart. It's not going to be as engaging, or it's not going to meet the objectives that you're hoping for. So the stronger that foundation, the more you're able to put on top of it, then and the things you put on top of it are going to be engaging opening, engaging conclusion, stories, and things like that. And all of those things are going to connect. I'm going to look at your current presentation. I'm going to help you write one from scratch if you need it. And we are going to have time to practice. So working with me, I feel I have a good stage side manner, just like a doctor has a good bedside manner. I try not to damage anyone's ego. When it comes to presentation skills, people are very sensitive about that. When you give them feedback on, I don't need any help. I've been doing this forever. I took one class in college. I'm good. And really, it's just like, I like to compare what I do. Like, if you're going to go to the doctor for your annual physical, you're going to go to the dentist to get your teeth cleaned and get your teeth checked up on a yearly basis or every 6 months. You're going to get your oil changed in your car. And I'm kind of like the same thing. I'd like you to come to me Bring me your presentation. Let me examine it. Let me take a look at it. I guarantee, even if you have been using that script forever, I guarantee that I am going to find some areas in there, not to say that you're doing anything wrong. I'm going to find some areas that will help you to incorporate additional engagement, change something around a little bit to have a bigger impact on that opening, or to include maybe an additional story or a question to your audience. So that's what I can do for you.
Beautiful. Just a side question. Does this need a certain level of confidence? Does it have anything to do with confidence?
So explain it. Does it take confidence to realize that? Does the
To improve
individual
your presentation skills?
I'm sorry, one more time.
Do you need to work on confidence in order to improve your presentation skills? Or let's say if you are sort of mediocre, let's say not the least confident and not the most confident, let's say you're sort of okay. Would working on your self-confidence improve your presentation skills? Do you help with that? Or these things that you teach are regardless of the confidence level?
That's a great question. So certainly, I think what you're getting at is certainly the confidence level, the nervousness, the stage fright. Let me let you and all of your audience in on a secret. If you're nervous, guess what? You're normal. Everybody gets nervous before they get up in front of an audience. The thing that you need to work through is, again, building that foundation, understanding, yes, nervousness is normal, and then finding ways, and I can help you find ways of working through that nervousness. Certainly, confidence helps before getting up and speaking in front of an audience. I can also help people with impromptu speaking skills, because there you're just thrown a question, you're immediately having to go on stage, and there are some ways to work through that. That's an area where even the most experienced speakers can have low confidence when it comes to impromptu. So yes, I definitely help them with confidence, stage presence, working through nervousness, as well as crafting that message. But being able to being prepared, knowing the ABCs of speaking in public, building on that foundation, that's all going to help with that confidence level.
Absolutely. I think these are amazing tips. And you guys obviously see that there is a balance between the skills, the confidence, the amount of practice, the amount of preparation. It's not as simple as just being a subject matter expert. And a lot of us make that mistake. By being a subject matter, we sometimes become overconfident and then end up being boring. So we don't want to make that mistake. So guys, David has a special offer for you to connect with him and get free coaching. Okay, so we're going to put that link in the comments below. So find it in all of our video channels below the video, and do connect with David either through that link or through our community. Again, it's Positive Impact Circle. You can find us on Facebook, and all the links are on positiveimpact.tv. We welcome all of you guys to continue being in touch, being engaged. David is our community expert, so he often hangs out in our group and posts amazing content. Connect with him there as well. You're welcome to ask him any questions at any time. He is a very helpful kind of guy. I can tell you that. And very, very approachable and personable and kind. So totally recommend. All right, David, any closing remarks for today?
Well, I wanted to say one thing about being kind. I've got to be kind. I'm also a professional Santa Claus. This beard here is making me money during the holiday seasons. So who else to get presentation skills from than Santa Claus? So yes, I definitely want to encourage people to take advantage of that free coaching session. This is not an opportunity for me to sell you. If we find at the end of those 45 minutes you'd like to go further, I definitely have discounts for folks that are anybody who contacts me and says, you heard this offer on the podcast. I definitely have some discounts. I also have discounts for veterans, for first responders, students as well. I'm a veteran. I'm retired from the United States Air Force, and definitely take care of the veterans.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much, David, for offering those discounts as well. All right, guys, stay tuned for more. And if you found this helpful, and if you know anybody who hint, hint, may need some help with their presentation skills, because sometimes we have some blind spots, with all the love and kindness, do share it with them, because when you hold the blessings just to yourself, they don't go around as much, but when you share them, they will come around tenfold. So share this with someone who will benefit from these tips, who might benefit from a session with David. And you will see that the heaven will open the floodgates to you as well. Thank you, David, and we'll see you in the group.